Hello everyone and welcome to Best Side Cycling. It is Seattle Portland 2023 this weekend, and I just want to make this video giving you sort of a pre-ride checklist or just things that you can take mind of if you haven't already. I know there's lots to think about, lots to do, but hopefully this can be an extra resource in case I say anything helpful, especially for all of you. I am doing the one-day ride again this year, and I'll be doing it on this road bike. I'm leaving the Brompton ride for RSVP, where I'll be doing with my dad, but one real big reminder to everyone that Seattle-Portland is a ride, not a race. We do have bibs and numbers, but no one's being tracked or anything, and there's really no prize for getting there first, but there is a lot of consequences for crashing. So keep that in mind and ride safe as we go out there. So let's get into some of these things. A lot of you probably already received the packet with the bibs and all these numbers and things that might be confusing. But first thing I just really want to make sure everyone sort of has clear is to have your plan laid out in terms of everything else but the bike ride. That's the last thing you want to think about as you're sort of straining yourself getting to Portland is where your bags are going and how you're getting back home to Seattle. So hopefully you have that all sorted out, but make sure you just double check on those things and that it's all sort of well in order. And then on that note, I would say also it's very helpful here for the ride in general. In case things do go awry, to also have sort of a more or less backup plan. The STP ride for non-medical emergency does come up with a rider emergency number. So obviously if something is a medical emergency, please call 911, but they also have this number here that you guys can put ahead of time in your phone in case you need a support vehicle to come by. It's really a great resource. I've admittedly used one before, and they're really helpful in case you really do get in a pinch that you can't resolve by yourself. But other than that, this whole thing has a ton of useful information that's on the website, but just in physical form that you can just have right here. But first thing with these numbers, what are they and what do they do? This is something you want to take care of probably before the ride. So there's a bib, there's a helmet sticker, and there is a bike sticker. So this you want to put on your helmet, the small one up here, just stick it on. This goes in front of the bike. Usually people like to put it maybe around the sort of head tube sort of area. They have those different zip tie things that they gave you when in the packet, and then the bib is usually for the back of your jersey. And the bib also has a lot of your key information here in the back that you probably want to fill out, as well as it's got your tags and meals, so don't lose that. You want it when you get to Portland. So yeah, if you do see me out there, number 157, feel free to wave hello and everything. Other than that, other real good things to sort of have and keep in mind before the ride is probably making sure that you bring your essentials. So I know there's quite a long list for everybody in terms of what you're gonna bring, but ones that you might not think of, or I want to really make sure everyone has, is definitely some type of flat kit. Something you can use to help get your tires back in order. So I've been sent this electric pump that I really enjoyed. I'm gonna turn on, it's pretty loud, but yeah, I just stop it right there. But it's sort of like reusable CO2 canisters where it gives me maybe a good number of pumps each day. So I'm bringing this with me because I'm sort of really lazy to use the small hand pump sometimes, but definitely wherever you need tubes, all that, have that ready to go. Definitely bring sunscreen for this year's ride. Not all the rest stops might have sunscreen for you, and it's definitely gonna get into the 30s Celsius, especially for the one-day riders riding late in the day or wherever. Highway 30 is definitely gonna be super sunny. There's no shade on that part of the road, so it gets pretty bad. And then as well as everyone wants to bring just maybe some very basic type of first aid. It can be in the form of just like some basic band-aids and sort of wound treatment, or maybe you could bring even like ibuprofen, like some light sort of painkillers. Those really go a far way to making your ride a lot more comfortable, especially if you get like a scrape or something does happen. Having this type of stuff can at least keep you going and makes it a lot better experience, even as there's just a ton of people and things are going to happen. Other thing to keep in mind in terms of what you want to bring is, or what you want to do, what I'll talk about next is the route. So you definitely want to load the route into your bike computer if you already use one. It's going to be different every year, especially for this year. It's going to be different in the sense that we are not going to JLBM because there's an air show. So we're going to be going on some, I think it's Highway 507 for a while, and that's going to be a pretty different experience. And yeah, so it's not the same as each year as last year. So load it up so that you definitely know which way to go. Moreover, on that point is that last year, unfortunately, there were people that sort of messed with the directional signals on the ground, the Dan Henrys, and then took people for up like a dead-end hill. So if you have this on your computer, that will give you a lot more confidence in terms of where to go. Also, if you do run into markings that look sort of awkward or look different, like extraneous markings somehow, or just different style, that could be a good moment to just pause and just double check the route. It's not worth it. It might take you an extra 30 seconds at a time to sort of hesitate and figure out where other people are going, but it takes way longer if you go off track. So keep that in mind and definitely report it if you see any of that happening again. And then moreover about the route is keeping track of the rest stops. This is maybe a tip that's really relevant more to one-day riders, but it can be also great motivation no matter what pace you're going at, is just keeping track of all the different rest stops. And then I put them last year onto sort of my stem area on a piece of paper. So here there's a good track of all of them here. Just basically this information that's like, yeah, 19 miles is to the Kaiser Permanente, 54 miles to Spanaway, 105 miles to Chehalis, 143 miles to Lexington, 173 miles to Mount St. Helens. So those are the big official stops. Even just having those numbers in your head goes a far way as you're riding, because you know exactly sort of how you pace yourself and how much resources you can use up to get to the next one. And in speaking of resources, definitely you want to be stocked at the beginning for sure. There's going to be a lot of people at the start line and probably sort of waves, and it might not be very easy to stop at the very first one at Seward. So I would say, like, basically be ready to stock up to get yourself at least to the first big rest stop. And then from there are a lot of things you can grab, but a big tip in terms of Seattle to Portland in general is just take it easy, keep under your threshold, and where you'll save the most times is just taking less breaks. Definitely take your breaks, get your fluids in, hydrate, everything. But if there's anything that I've learned is, yeah, it's a lot better to just sort of be the tortoise in the hare in the situation and just sort of go at that steady pace versus going in sprints, taking long rest sprints, and so on. So that's something you can sort of keep in mind, as well as definitely probably around your bike. Definitely you just want to have a very thorough safety check, mainly around your brakes if they're working well, your shifting, and then maybe sort of like your tire conditions and how making sure it's all good the day of the ride. You basically don't want to think about anything when you're going to start your ride and just ready to go. Things I wouldn't touch definitely is at this point probably anything around your bike fit. So your saddle height or things like that. You probably want to go with what you've been training with so far. Last minute adjustments, even if they're for the best in the long run, might not work out in the short term. So I would leave that as a final resort. But definitely bring some tools with you in case you do need to change anything. And then yeah, definitely have 2 bottles ready to hold in a lot of water and electrolytes. That goes a whole long way to make sure that you can make it to each rest stop. And I really like having 2 different bottles of liquid, like one that's electrolytes and one that's water, just to get something different and mixed up. Another really useful thing to bring is probably, surprisingly, cash. So there's at least one stop where you can spend money on Coke and popcorn at Mount St. Helens, and that will come as a bit of a lifespan for those doing the one-day ride. So I would definitely recommend at least some cash, and then some people as well just like to sort of stop at local gas stations or anywhere else where that might be relevant. And then also definitely, of course, have your phones and communications sort of charged up and ready. You do have reception for basically the whole ride. And yeah, I think like those are a lot of the key things. Let me know if you can think of anything else for your fellow riders and comment down below. There's a lot of things to think about. It's a lot ride, but honestly, Cascade does an amazing job to support everyone and make sure that you're well set to make it all the way to Portland. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Yeah, and if you definitely see me around, give me a huge wave, yell best side cycling, and maybe you'll make it into my video vlog. So yeah, I think that's all I had. So hope you all have a safe ride, and I'll see you out there.